This has got to be one of the biggest scams of our lifetime. How's everybody doing? My name is Anthony Brian Logan, and today we got to talk about a climate activist over in New Zealand getting laughed off the radio. Now, this person's name is Izzy Cook. I think they are like a teenager. Kind of remember the whole Greta Thunberg situation? How dare you? I think when she made that particular speech, she might have been 14, 15, 16, high schooler or something like that. Now, I don't know who is funding these young people to go out there and speak on the radio, speak on television, appear at events or whatever because of climate change. Maybe they want to try to get the minds of very young people and indoctrinate them so they get to be adults and they go out there and do it automatically. They're programmed that way. That's the way it looks like. So we have yet another young climate activist named Izzy Cook, and she went on a radio interview out there in New Zealand. And like I said, she got laughed off the air. Now, if you want to see this clip in full, the link, as always, will be in the box. But let's go ahead and roll it right here. It's audio only, so it's just a static picture of her. But you're going to hear what's going on, and we're going to react to it. So let's go ahead and roll it.
For example,
so we would have to apply to have like approved events to be able to fly for.
Well, that's one thing that you could look at doing.
Am I allowed to go to Fiji? Is that necessary?
In the current climate crisis, I don't think that that's necessary.
When was the last time you were on a plane?
I'm not sure. Maybe a few months ago, to be honest.
Where'd you go?
Fiji.
Izzy!
So wait a minute. Okay, they're in New Zealand, right? So Fiji, I guess it's not that far away from New Zealand. It's right there in those islands. So that's probably a nice vacation spot for New Zealanders and Australian people or whatever. So she says, you know what? Going to Fiji, that's probably not a good idea. You don't need to be on the airplane. Yet she was on the airplane recently, and where'd she go? Right to Fiji. You can't make it up. I promise you cannot make it up.
Izzy! Izzy! Don't you care about the climate, Izzy?
Of course I care about the climate.
Not enough. You went to... you went to Fiji. Izzy, come on, mate. Are you serious? Are you serious, Izzy?
The host can't help it. The host is falling to pieces. The host is falling to pieces because that's crazy. You just told me, you shouldn't be going to Fiji. Okay, where'd you go last time, Fiji? So you can go, but I can't. Let's continue.
Well, it's pretty
Are you still there?
It is pretty ironic, but to be honest, it's not really a trip that I wanted to go on, but I can't really get out of it. Because
Why'd you go? Why'd you go?
My parents wanted to go.
Izzy.
I didn't want to go.
How are you embarrassed that your parents did that to the planet and then forced you to do it as well?
Of course I'm not embarrassed.
Did you have a terrible time?
No.
Not really. I didn't have
See, I'm sorry. Mate, listen, you're such a champion. I think you've got a brilliant future ahead of you. And are you doing another strike soon?
Yeah, well, we'll look to.
Good. We'll talk to you again and might get you back on the show.
Wow. Shout out to the radio host. The radio host couldn't help it. Cracking up, crying, laughing. And I don't blame her at all. I don't blame her one bit because at a certain point, it's like, all right, Izzy, you wanted to come on this radio show talking about what we should do to fight climate change, and we got to be activists, and we got to be out there doing things to help the planet and preserve our future, all this, that, and the third. You talk about all these things, yet you and your parents went to Fiji. You are the exact thing that you want to protest against. And you know what? I think that a lot of this stuff, a lot of this activism from not just the climate people, but also Black Lives Matter, Antifa, all of these kind of groups that go out there and so-called protest, a lot of them kind of hate themselves. They hate their parents. Because think about this. I think it might have been Thomas Sowell or someone who said it. He's like, look, who has the money to really be out here at, for example, Occupy Wall Street and just laying around the park all day? Who has money to be able to do that? Can you just lay in the park for a month and not work and still be able to eat and still take care of yourself? where is money coming from? They already got money. They have rich parents. They have these trust funds and things of that nature. They get allowances. So they're able to go out there and just do things like that. They kind of pretend to be oppressed. Meanwhile, they are the exact opposite of that. They want to have that kind of oppressed experience. They want to have that type of life and project to the world that they aren't what they actually are. That's kind of what's going on, in my humble opinion. And there's also a grift behind it. You see, people like Izzy, Greta Thunberg, or whatever, they're used by people. I think Greta Thunberg had a book written about her and her life by her parents. You see what I'm saying? So the parents are putting her out there kind of like a stage mom, right? And I've seen that where you got these little kids, 4 or 5 years old, practicing dance moves. They probably don't want to do it, but their parents are really pushing them to do it. Sometimes they may be into it. They might want to be in gymnastics or in dance or in sports, but sometimes they're not really into it, and the parents are just pushing for their own reasons. They want to live vicariously through their children. And the kids are kind of caught up in the middle. Sometimes they want a little bit of fame, a little bit of attention. They don't know where to go. But a lot of times it's the adults in the room that are using them, the parents to live vicariously through them, also to get money through them. And these big NGOs, non-governmental organizations, they want to get money through these young people. They want to influence the younger generation. And also the grift of climate change. It's not just about influencing the children to grow up and think and behave a certain way. That's part of it. But the grift, the money behind it. I mean, think about how much people like Al Gore make. Al Gore has a whole compound. You were a politician and the vice president for what, 8 years? How did you get to be a multimillionaire? From what though? Is he Elon Musk? Is he Steve Jobs? Like, how did he get his money? Really? I'm not sure what he did before becoming a politician, but I can guarantee you whatever that was pales in comparison to what he does right now as a so-called climate activist. You're riding on private jets all around the world to go and tell people to cut down on carbon, to cut down on this, to cut down on that. Don't fly. Don't have a big carbon footprint. Meanwhile, you rode here to Brussels or to, I don't know, Sao Paulo on a big piece of carbon emission, right? And when you go home, you live in a gigantic piece of carbon emission, a bigger home than 99.999% of the entire world, okay? So it's a bunch of contradiction. It's a bunch of ridiculousness. It's a grift. It's a way to use people. It's everybody benefits from it in their own personal way. Usually the last person to benefit would be the kids, like in this case, Izzy Cook, and then Greta Thunberg. They're usually the last to benefit. All the adults benefit. The climate change industrial complex, it benefits. And that's pretty much it. You and I, regular normies out here just making a living in the world, we don't benefit at all. What do we get? High gas prices, high airplane tickets, higher costs of food and everything else at the store. We have a more difficult experience out here in the world because of a grift that's happening from people that don't really have our best interests at heart. That's what's going on. They make money off of our backs. But I think I'll leave that right there for now. And what said you? How do you feel about this interview with Izzy Cook from the radio host in New Zealand? Whatever your thoughts are, let me know in the comments below. How do you feel about climate change in general? Do you believe in it? Do you not believe in it? If you do believe in it, how do you feel about the climate change industrial complex? How do you feel about Al Gore and Greta Thunberg and Izzy Cook and everyone else who is really pushing, yet they live a different kind of lifestyle? Hey, you don't go to Fiji, but I went to Fiji, had a great time with my mom and dad, right? Hey, you don't fly on these big gas guzzlers. You have a low carbon footprint. Meanwhile, my estate has a gigantic carbon footprint, and I ride on these big gas guzzling private jets every other day. How do you feel about that contradiction? Whatever your thoughts are, let me know in the comments below. You guys know where I stand. This is typical of these kind of people. I am not surprised. Shout out to the radio host for just being honest and having a good laugh, because another person might have wanted to hold it in and kind of be professional. Nah. When you hear something crazy like that, just go ahead and express how you feel. I appreciate that level of honesty from the radio host. But whatever your thoughts are, please let me know in the comments below. And that's all I got to say for this video. If you like what you heard, please comment, rate, share, and subscribe. Peace.